Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I'm really glad you're here. Today's date is Friday, November 10th, 2023. We're going to look at a recent news item and then look at a possible explanation for the news item. And then we're going to ask the tarot cards to give us some insights and information. I'm referring to the fact that, unfortunately, this past Tuesday, there was a tragedy in Panama that involved a loss of life. I don't want to minimize that because this seems to have been a genuine case of one of two people that were harmed being killed. So I'm not minimizing that. We've talked in the past about psyops and bogus banners, false flappy things. And the fact that, unfortunately, with those events that are false flappy things, there's real collateral damage. Now, I'm going to go to a Facebook compilation that I made for you, and we'll discuss this in a little more detail and then see what the universe wants us to know. 1 second while I go to a share screen, and we'll review and find out together what's going on. The entire incident has caused this meme to come out. If it doesn't make sense to you, it will by the time we go through this compilation. You see, on Tuesday, a 77-year-old, supposedly retired attorney had a weapon and harmed two people that they're being billed as climate activists in Panama. That's where it gets to be a little inaccurate as far as the reporting goes, as far as I'm concerned. Let's go into a little further detail with this and see what happened. Now, I'm making sure that that's the video clip isn't playing here. The Daily Mail had an article that kind of wraps it up pretty nicely, except that in that article, he said the reporter says that the consequence for Mr. Darlington, it looks like because of his age, may be, if found guilty, house arrest. And then, so you can review that there. Here's a link for that, or just understand that I was talking about the Panama shooting and the Daily Mail coverage of it. Now, on Twitter, there was a person by the name of Mike Hawk who did a little further digging, and that is what people called anons do. Nowadays, when there's a mainstream news event, people start digging to see if there's more to be known about a situation. And he had some really good insights and even a little pro tip advice that I just loved. So I'm a recent follower as of today, this gentleman, but let's look at some of what he dove into this to see if there was more to the story. Indeed, there seems to be. Okay. He said there's a lot of stuff that had to be put together on that one. Okay. The two people were harmed, as we've said. Okay, but they manipulated the narrative to have them believe it was just climate protesters. What's happening down in Panama is there is a widespread protest and pushback against the government because they passed some legislation that said basically if a foreign mining company, and there's a Canadian mining company that is wanting to come down there, if they find any kind of copper on your land, you can be removed from it. So pillaging land. So it's not the climate activist element here. It's people, regular citizens in Panama, protesting against a foreign company being allowed to do a land grab, and it's backed by government force. So I didn't mean to click on that. Okay, I'm scrolling down here to get a little farther in it because that's kind of what it is. So then he looked into a little further into about Kenneth Darlington. And basically he says he's not the character from Falling Down, a movie that he's referring to. He's a hired shill for the Panama government and the Canadian mining company. This is almost a perfect reenactment of what happened in order for Panama Canal to be built. If anyone is interested in how you figure out which legislation is written by the World Economic Forum, do not look towards the politician that introduces it, because you won't find it. Look towards the lobbyist that introduced it to the politician, and then you'll know legislation that's backed by the web. But his pro tip was great here. If the media isn't painting an old white male as the murderous enemy, question it. Okay, now there's more on the mining company. There's more on his ties to he being Kenneth Darlington. And you can dig into that at your leisure as deep as you want. So here's what we know. There was a tragedy in Panama on Tuesday. And according to some anons, including the one I just reviewed, the entire thing was a psyop or setup. And it is actually a false flappy thing. There was other motives behind it. It wasn't the way it's being presented. I would say another pro tip also, if you just happen to have professional film crews that are on site when something like that happens and they're not running for cover. I saw that clip on Tuesday, and the people's reaction around just did not make sense as far as how you would react if there was an active situation in process to me. And so I was waiting to find out more. And apparently maybe we have. Let's ask the universe. Now we're going to ask for confirmation of the claim that this was a contrived event, you know, a true tragedy that's been supplemented or orchestrated or set up to serve other purposes, for somebody's narrative that they're wanting to present. So we're going to look for confirmation. Then we're going to look at the motivation behind that, see if the universe wants to give us some information about what in the world they were thinking when they contrived it, if it was indeed a contrived event, and then further insights and information. So motivation, confirmation, and other insights. Let's find out together. I'm going to switch the camera. You can watch me work with the cards, and I'll be as surprised as you are. Let's see what the universe wants us to know. Okay, so is there truth to that speculation, that assertion, that the event wasn't reported accurately, that there was more going on, that it's a contrived event, that there's some other involvement of other things? And then, so again, confirmation of whether that's true or not, motivation behind it, what were they thinking, and then other insights. Our first card is the Knight of Wands, Death, Wheel of Fortune, Six of Cups, Knight of Swords, Seven of Wands, the Hanged Man. Okay, this is a good question. I say that right now because out of the 7 cards we've got so far, we have 1, 2, 3 of them that are major arcanas. Major arcanas are cards that talk about the information they're presenting is pretty much fixed, even if it's forward motion, you know, near future. So we've got the present, we have the past, and we have a major arcana showing up in the near future. Here's what I'm getting. So far, I don't have a hard yes about the confirming whether this was a false flappy thing. Okay, but it was a situation where they were setting things up, events, because this is an action card. They were events, and there was a plan for some dramatic events, including what ended up happening. Normally, the death card is more about long, slow events that are changing, but there has been the changes actually within the bureaucratic structures in Panama, and they've made some alliances that are focused on greed and not on representing the people and the best interests of the people. The recent past card, we have the Wheel of Fortune showing up here. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is always moving towards the light. And what this is telling me is that the quick disclosure of the other elements of the story, other than what was reported in the mainstream, is going to, again, happen more and more often and more accurately, as because this Wheel of Fortune is changing. We are, as a people, we are getting rid of some of the programming shackles that made us not question, that atrophied our ability to think critically and logically. And so it's going to be, this is going to continue. So if any deep state people happen to run across this little video of mine, please know you might as well stop setting up these false flappy things, because they're going to be disproven and debunked really quickly. So the current situation here, we've got a beautiful card with the 6 of Cups. Now, cups are emotions, okay? And emotions are running high in Panama right now with this legislation that's been passed or pushed through and foisted on the people, okay? But this card is, they're standing together, and the people of Panama, and they're not going to take this lightly. And I think the motivation here, what we're getting is the motivation was to get them to stand down, to make them seem as if they were nutty climate activists, when really they're people saying, you pass legislation that lets foreign companies take our land, our homes. How could you do that to us? That wasn't what we elected you for. And so they're standing together and firm on that. So it's a very emotional issue, and the people are going to stand firm on it. The Knight of Swords, we've got some white hat involvement here, not with the event. I want to be very clear about that. But white hat involvement, in other words, some little passive supporting of anons that do the digging, of making sure the truth gets out there as fast as possible to minimize damage when these events happen, is going to continue. Again, facilitating the disclosure of truth or the rest of a story is going to continue to be a huge a factor in keeping people safe from others events that might be contrived. The speaking of events, we have for our biggest insight card here, we have the 7 of Wands. And this tells me that there were other events that were planned, and this has kind of put the kibosh on it. They're having to look at that in a new way, because the effectiveness of their bang for their buck on a setup event has not been what they thought it should be. Let's get a couple more cards for further insights. We have the Page of Swords, Ace of Swords. We have our yes. So there's our confirmation card right there. It was a contrived event, absolutely. And then it's sitting beside the Page of Swords, which is about truth and diplomacy. So again, we're getting told that yes, it was contrived. You now know the truth. These type of quick debunking and disclosures and getting the rest of the story is going to continue and accelerate, and that will help to keep more people safe. I'm going to get a couple more cards just because the universe really seemed to want to tell us some things about this. King of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles. Okay, Pentacles are our tangible assets. They're usually real estate. And again, this land grab involves real estate or money that's or valuables, tangible assets. So we've got the white hats are aware that there's been incidences here where people's sovereignty has been for sale. And so that's why we're getting the support to, I think the disclosures and debunking is going to continue and continue at a good pace. So yeah, deep state, stop trying it. Just stop already. So let's recap. We looked into the incident Tuesday when a supposedly retired attorney was upset at a traffic stoppage by climate activists, and did grievous bodily harm to others. The mainstream media didn't immediately make him a poster child for his race, and Anon started digging to see what was going on. What's the rest of the story? So we found out after reviewing the news that what really is going on in Panama is that people are mad that there's been legislation pushed through against their will that allows foreign mining companies to do land grabs. If they find even a modest amount of copper on your land, you can have it removed from your possession and they can mine there. And people are not happy about that. I can understand that very, very well. So they've been protesting. The whole country's been protesting about this. Now, some of the motivation seems to have been to make people afraid to get out into the streets and protest. This event, by saying it happened with this event, they're hoping that they can squelch some of that pushback from the citizens through fear. The other thing was we had a very strong confirmation with the Ace of Swords that this was a contrived event. This was. Good job, Anons, that did your digging. You did it well. The digging and expertise with which the rest of the story is dug up is going to continue to accelerate and improve. And the faster Anons can get to the rest of the story and get the word out about it, the more people don't get caught up in additional events and what have you. So that's good. So that's what the universe wanted us to know. This was a contrived event. The motivation was to stop some of the pushback from the Panama citizens of the land grab that's been authorized. And Anons have dug up some ties between this incident, the World Economic Forum, compromised representation in that country. It's kind of interesting. It is. And unfortunately, like I said, in events that are psyops or false flappy things, there's real human damages that are part of that. And that's always sad. So like I said, the faster we can debunk or get the rest of the story out there, the less bang for their buck they're going to get when they set these things up. It's going to, over time, reduce the motivation to do those. And that's a good thing because we value human life. And even though there are those that don't, the more quickly that we can come up with the information, get the rest of the story out there, the more we regular people will stay safe. That's it for this video. If you'd like to stay around after I say good night, I do have a short personal message that has nothing to do with politics or tarot reading. So you're welcome to stay if you'd like. But at this time, I'm going to say thank you for your time spending it with me and exploring topics. If you, like me, were surprised that you would ever use tarot information to find out more to a story or to see, do some little digging and get further insights, welcome to the club. But I've got to say this, my tarot cards are way more accurate than any mainstream reporting. So why not pursue it? So until next time, I wish you love and light and everything bright. Bye. Now for the rest of the story. My personal one. I shared in a post a few weeks ago that I was buying a small house in a neighboring town, and that sale went through on September 30th. You might have noticed that after that, I stopped doing daily videos. I'm still trying to get 3 or 4 out a week, but I'm not pushing for 5 or 6. And that's because I have to work on that house. It was built in 1958. It had a lot of issues. There was rotted wood. The deck in front was rotted, and under the front door, there was some rot to take care of. We found out there was no insulation in the walls. So as of today, with the help of some really good people that I've hired to help, we now have insulation in most walls. New sheetrock up ahead of that. The painting is going to start. There's some cabinets that are getting constructed. They're not expensive. And I just wanted to share that progress with you. Now, barring some kind of huge sky event, which I'm all for, it can happen, ascension, however it rolls out, whatever it is, timeline shift, go into a light body, whatever. But barring that happening in the next few weeks, I should be able to celebrate the holidays in December in that home. And just a matter of disclosure, if you're wondering how I could afford it, first of all, I didn't buy as much house as I could have. And the condo I sold in Alaska is covering both the purchase price and the renovation. So that was really a blessing by keeping my purchase modest. I was able to do the repairs, even the surprising ones, like the insulation, with the proceeds from that other sale. So that it's worked out really nicely. It's been frustrating because I hope to already be in there and people have been asking about that. That's why I thought, well, I'll just talk for a minute or two after the video and let you guys know what's going on. So the days I'm not here, it's because I'm over there and doing little things, buying cabinets, helping put them together because they're not assembled when we get them, and just other things. I'm not doing the heavy lifting and the heavy work, and I am not a do-it-yourselfer, but I can do some easy, simple stuff myself. So that's what's going on with the new little home. And when I get in there, I'll post some pictures. It's 952 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. And while that's still not big, it's not as big as the condo I had in Alaska. It's way bigger than this. So the kiddies and I'll have a little more room to have adventures. So that's all I wanted to share with you. And I thank you again for your time. And if you stayed around for me to babble on about the new house, now you're current on what's going on there. Until next time, love and light and everything bright. Bye.